Hello, one and all. This is Sarvesh, lecturer in civil engineering, Government Polytechnic, Station Kanpur. The course is reinforced concrete structures, and we are going to discuss about the design of continuous beams and slabs. And this lecture is continuation to the previous lecture, right? And after completion of this lecture, we are able to know how to design the continuous beam based upon the given data by using IS 456 2000 coefficients by limit state method. Last class, we were discussed about the we have solved one example design example problem that is design of a continuous beam, and we have based upon the given data we have assumed the dimensions and determine the shear force and bending moment coefficients, and we have calculated the reinforcement as well as shear reinforcement, right? And we have checked for stiffness also. So today also we are going to discuss one more other type of problem for better understanding, and this is a different type of problem as compared to earlier, right? So here design a singly reinforced concrete continuous RC rectangular beam for flexure for the following conditions. Use M20 grade concrete and Fe415 steel. Here, the number of number of spans is 3. Clear distance between the supports is 3.6 meters. Width of the support is 300 mm. Imposed load, that is not fixed, is 5 kilonewton per meter, and imposed load fixed, it's 7.5 kilonewton per meter, and here it is excluding the self weight of the beam. That means you need to calculate the self weight of the beam separately, and you can add it. And assuming that there is a partial fixity be expected at the discontinuous edges, right? So this is the problem given. So based upon the given data, we have to design the rectangular, right? So for that, see here there is a 3 spans. So as I told earlier, before applying the method or the coefficients which are proposed by IS 456 2000, first you need to check whether these the present case is applicable, or the method is applicable for the present problem or not, because the coefficients which are derived or proposed by the IS 456 2000 has its own limitations. The limitations are uh, uh, the method is applicable for the beam which has minimum 3 spans. So here whether you have 3 spans or not, you need to check. So you have 3 spans, and one more thing is the beam should consist only the UDLs. So whatever the loads here it is given are only UDL loads. So these 3 are satisfied, right? Next one is you need to check um, uh, the difference between the difference between any 2 spans should not be greater than the 15% of the longest span, right? So here if you observe it, all spans are equal, so the difference is less than the 15% of the longest span. So this method is applicable, right? Uh, this is a 3 spans, and the clear span is 3.6 meters, and FCK is 20 Newton per mm square, and this is 450 Newton per mm square. And the first step is, first we need to assume the dimensions of the member. So while assuming the dimensions of the member, so here the depth of the beam can be assumed in the range of 115 to 120 as based on the stiffness, right? So for I'm assuming that the effective depth of the beam is L by 15. So that means 3600 by 15. I got it as 250 mm. And assuming the assuming the effective cover is not effective depth, effective cover, right? The effective cover is 50 mm. Therefore, the overall depth is 290 mm. This is approximately equal to 300 mm. So therefore, the overall depth of the beam is 300, and effective depth will become 300 minus 50, that is 250. That is called effective depth, right? And assuming width of the beam is 230 mm, right? So now the dimensions of the beam has been fixed, right? Now the next step is we need to determine the effective span, right? And while calculating the effective span, as per IS 456-2000, you need to check whether the width of the support is less than 1/12 of the clear span or greater than the 1/12 of the clear span, right? So here the width of the support is 300 mm, and 1/12 of the clear span is become as 300 mm. That means it is greater than or equal to L by 12 of clear span. So in this case, the effective span as per IS 456-2000, the effective span is equal to clear span. So therefore, the effective span becomes 3.6 meters, right? So after determining the effective span, the next step is you need to determine the loads, right? So the imposed load fixed are given as 7.5 kilonewton per meter, and self-weight, because it is given as excluding the self-weight, so you need to calculate the self-weight of the beam. That is, self-weight of the beam is 0.23 into 0.3 into 1 into 25, or 25 is the unit weight of the RC, right? Kilometer per meter cube. So if you calculate this one, you got 1.725 kilonewton per meter, and the total imposed load fixed is 9.225 kilonewton meter. That means 1.725 plus 7.5, that will become as 9.225 kilonewton, which is fixed. And another imposed load that is not fixed, that is 5 kilonewton per meter, right? So these are the working loads. You need to determine the factor load. So the factor load should be determined by application of partial safety factor for loads, right, as per IS 456-2000. So for as per IS 456-2000, the partial safety factor for live loads and dead loads in limit state method is 1.5. Therefore, the factored imposed load fixed is 9.225 into 1.5, we get 13.84 kilonewton per meter. And factored imposed load not fixed is 1.5 into 5, you get 7.5 kilonewton meters. So these are the factored loads, right? So now we have calculated the dimensions of the beam and calculated the effective span, and we have calculated the factored load. Next, you need to determine the bending moments and shear forces, right? So coming to the bending moments, the bending moment should be calculated based on the coefficients, bending moment coefficients, which are given in table number 12 as per IS 456-2000. So here he is asking to design a beam, right? So you need to determine the bending moments for all cases. That means span moments as well as support moments separate, right? So for span moments, there are again two moments, that is near middle of end span at the middle of interior span. So for calculation of and again the bending moments at support moments are two, that is support at support next to the end support at other interior support, right? So corresponding coefficients should be considered for determination of moments, right? So coming to this here, so first I would like to calculate the maximum support moments. So maximum support moments means support moments are all negative. If you observe the table, so these are all negative bending moments, because as I told earlier, the bending moment diagram for continuous beam, right? So roughly I'm drawing. So it will just like, so it will expand. So this is the sagging bending moment. This is the Harding bending moment. It supports, you will get the Harding bending moment, that is negative bending, right? So for negative bending moment, there are two types, right? One is as per the table, at support next to the end support at other interior supports. Out of which you need to calculate both the things. So out of which maximum, where you will get the maximum, obviously you will get maximum in this case, right? So first I have calculated the maximum. I have to calculate both the things. So first I have calculated the maximum. So maximum negative bending moment, that is support next to the end support, right? So WUD L square by 10 minus WU L square by 9. So if you substitute the values, that is 13.84 into 3.6 square by 10 minus 7.5 into 3.6 square by 9, you get 28.74 kilonewton meters. This is the maximum negative bending moment. Similarly, there is another negative bending moment, that is support at support other interior supports, that is WL square by 12, WL square by 10, right? This is 10, WL square by 10. So if you substitute the values, that is 13.84 into 3.6 square by 12 minus 7.5 into 3.6 square by 10, that is equal to 25.75 kilonewton meters, right? So this is the negative bending moment at other interior supports. This is the negative bending moment at support next to the support. Out of which this is the maximum one. Similarly, you need to calculate the span moments also, right? So coming to the span moments, that is sagging bending moment. So again, in sagging bending moment, there are two types. That is near middle of end span at middle of interior span. So out of which, where you will get the maximum? So obviously, at near the middle of end span, you will get the maximum bend. Let me check. So here, right. So at middle of end span, that is WUD L square by 12, and this is not minus, this is plus WU L square by 10. So to substitute the values, that is 13.84 into 3.6 square by 12 plus 7.5 into 3.6 square by 10. This is 24.67 kilonewton meters. Similarly, at middle of interior span, at middle of interior spans, that is mu positive, that is WL square by 16 plus WL square by 12. To substitute the values, 13.84 into 3.6 square by 16 plus 7.5 into 3.6 square by 12. That will be as 13.31 kilonewton meters. Right now, I've calculated the span moments as well as support moments. Right. So Next step is you need to check whether the provided dimensions of the beam are sufficient to resist this much of bending moment, sorry, or not. That you need to check. How to check? As I told earlier, you need to determine the depth required, right? And this depth required should be determined by equating your maximum bending moment equal to the mu limit. The mu limit is nothing but the moment of resistance corresponding to the balanced section. That means the depth of neutral axis is XU max, that is limiting depth of neutral axis. And this limiting depth of neutral axis can be determined from IS 456-2000 based upon the grade of steel, right? So here the grade of steel is Fe415 steel. So for Fe415 steel, the mu limit, that is mu limit equal to 0.138 FCK square, right? And this mu limit should be equal to the maximum bending, right? I'm equating this maximum bending moment equal to the limiting bending moment to determine the depth required, right? So what is the maximum bending moment? Where you got the maximum bending moment? I got the maximum bending moment out of 4. I have 4 bending moments, right? In support moments, 2 bending moments. In span moments, 2 bending moments. Out of which maximum bending moment occurred at support next to the end support. That is 28.74 kilometer meter. So this should be equal to that mu limit, right? So if I equate this one, so that is from this equation, yeah, D is unknown. Don't substitute whatever the depth of the member we assumed in uh, first steps, right? That is only for uh, uh, here. We need to check what is the depth required to resist this much of bending moment, right? Then we will check whether it is whatever the dimensions we were provided are sufficient to resist this much of bending moment or not, right? So if you substitute the values, right? If you substitute the values, this is 28.74 into 10 power 6. That means converted into kilonewton meter, converted into Newton by 0.138 into FCK is 20, and B is 230, right? So from this equation, the depth required to resist this much of bending moment is 212.8 mm, right? So that means to resist this much of bending moment, I need minimum 212.8 mm depth, right? But how much I have provided? I have provided 250 mm, right? So 250 mm I have provided. That means D required is less than D provided. That means whatever I have provided is more than enough to resist this much of bending, right? So hence it is safe, right? If it is not safe, then you need to revise your bending moment, and again you have to start from your first step till these conditions will be satisfied, right? And one more important point is why I am checking only corresponding to maximum bending moment, because so out of the total length of the beam, I am getting maximum bending moment only this one, which is occurred at the support next to the end support, right? So whatever the dimensions I have provided, if that dimensions are safe for maximum case, obviously it will become safe for other cases, because if it is safe in maximum conditions, so the bending moment in other places are less than the maximum. So obviously it will become safe. That is why I am taking only corresponding to max. Right? Is it clear? So now the whatever the dimensions I have provided are more than enough to resist the bending moment. That means it is safe. Right? So next I can go for further steps. So what is the next step after satisfying this condition, right? So next step is you need to determine the area of steel required. So here you need to calculate the area of steel required for all corresponding to all bending moments. That is corresponding to 4 bending moments. We have 2 support moments, 2 span moments. So based upon the support moments, we need to calculate the area of tension reinforcement required, and similarly based upon the support span moments, we need to calculate the area of steel required in tension, right? So, first I am taking the support next to the end support. That is the mu is 28.74 to 10 power 6 Newton mm. So this is the equation to determine the area of steel required. It is not new. It is previous one, same equation. That means whatever we will calculate. How to calculate the moment of resistance? The moment of resistance mu is equal to tension force into lever arm. Right? What is the tension force? 0.87 F of phi into A of ST, and lever arm is D minus 0.42 XU. Right? Don't XU 0.4 into XU. Right? Don't use XU max here. This is only XU only, not XU max. The XU max, whatever we have used in previous step, is only for checking purpose. But the reinforcement should be calculated corresponding to the actual depth of neutral axis. How to determine the actual depth of neutral axis? The actual depth of neutral axis can be determined by equating compression force equal to tension force. So from this equation, the compression force is 0.36 FCK P into XU is equal to 0.87 or 0.2 FST. So from this equation, XU becomes 0.87 F of 5 into FST by 0.36 FCK into B. Right? So from this equation, I can determine the XU. But here, if you observe from this equation, I can determine the XU. But if you observe here, AST is unknown, right? XU is also unknown. So here, this is the equation to determine the moment of resistance. So at this place, XU is substituted directly. This equation, that is 0.87 F of phi into AST by 0.36 FCK into B. And if you simplify it, you will get this equation, right? So don't get confused. It is derived from the basic equation only, whatever we were discussed in singly reinforced beams, first two, right? Same thing, but only simplified. If you have any confusion, you can use this equation directly and substitute XC in place of XC. You can substitute this equation and determine the MU. Okay, so right. I would like to keep it like this. So if you substitute the values here, so here if you substitute the values, the unknown is only A of S. So you will get one equation to determine the A of S. So that is 28.74 into 10 power 6 equal to 0.87 into 415 into A of ST into 250. So that is 1 minus 415 into A of ST by 20 into 250 to 30. So if you solve this equation, I got A of ST is equal to 367 mm square, right? So therefore, if we calculate, then assume the diameter of the bars, that is 12 mm dia bars, and determine the number of bars. So how to determine number of bars? Number of bars can be determined by A of ST by small a of ST. That means area of the single bar. So from this I got 3 point some value. So I can provide it as 4 bars of 12 mm diameter as a tension reinforcement where it is at support next to the end support, right? So these are the number of bars or the tension reinforcement provided at support next to the end support, right? So next is you need to calculate the area of steel required for another case. This is next to the end support. Another one is at interior support. But the difference between the bending moment difference between these two is very less. This is 48.74, and you just observe here at support next to the end support is 28.74. At support other interior support is 25.75 kilonewton. That is only 3 kilonewton is different. 3 kilonewton meter is different. So that is why for reducing the calculation purpose, but if you want to calculate, you can calculate. But here the difference is very less. So that is why I am providing the same reinforcement, whatever the reinforcement I got it corresponding to the support next to the end support. I am providing for other interior supports also, right? But you need to write it clearly. The why I am taking, because the difference is very less. If the difference is very high, then you need to calculate the reinforcement for this case separately, right? So therefore, I would like to write down simply. Yeah. To provide 4 bars of 12 mm dia bars, and the AST provided is 452.4 mm square. Yeah, remember one more thing is you need to check whether the AST provided is greater than the minimum and should be less than the maximum. What is the AST maximum? That is I provided AST minimum somewhere else. I think yeah, I think you need to check it. I have checked it, but the calculations are not shown here. So whatever the reinforcement I got it, that is greater than the, this is greater than the AST minimum, and it is less than the, so this is less than the AST maximum. What is AST maximum? That is 4% of BT, 0.04 into BT, right? That is AST maximum. So whatever the reinforcement I got it, that is greater than the minimum and less than the maximum. So therefore, I can provide this reinforcement directly. So you need to check it compulsory. That is very, very important. As per IS 450-60,000, you need to check whether your AST required is greater, it should be greater than AST minimum and should be less than AST maximum, right? So for this case, I got it is greater than AST minimum and less than AST maximum. So I can provide this much of reinforcement. Okay, calculations are not shown, but I have done it. So, and same reinforcement I would like to provide at the other interior spans also. So I have written same reinforcement is provided at all interior supports as the difference between the support moments is less. So that is why I am providing same reinforcement for other interior supports. So this is how you need to determine the area of tension reinforcement for supports. Similarly, you need to determine for span. So take this span moment, and here the reinforcement for middle span, that is at mid of end span. At middle of end span, so same formula you can use it, whatever the formula we have used just now. So same formula is also applicable here to determine the area of tension reinforcement. The only difference is change the bending moment, because the bending moment at end of mid span is 24.6467 into 10 power 6 Newton mm. And corresponding to this moment, I got the bending. If you substitute the values and if you solve this equation, you will get the area of steel equal to 307.4 square, right? And this is also you need to check. You should check corresponding to maximum reinforcement and minimum reinforcement as per IS 456 2000, right? So I've checked it. It is greater than AST minimum and less than AST max, right? So I can provide this much of reinforcement, right? Because the conditions are satisfied. So I can calculate it the number of bars. So I got 3 bars of 12 mm dia bars, and AST provided is 339.3 square, right? So similarly, you need to calculate for midspan, other interior midspan. This is for where at mid of end span. Similarly, you need to calculate the tension reinforcements required corresponding to the mid of interior span, right? But if you check the difference between these two, just I would like to understand. So what is the, so this is the, you can see here at middle of interior span, I got 19.31 kilometer meter, and this one I got it as at middle of end span is 24.67 kilometer meter. So the difference between these two is very less, right? Not more than 5 kilometer meters. So therefore, I can provide same reinforcement which I got corresponding to 24.7 kilometer meter. See, the difference is less. That is why I am providing same reinforcement. If you want to provide separate, if you want to calculate separately, you can calculate by using same formula. Only thing is you need to change this bending moment, and you can determine the number of bars, right? So more or less you will get same because the difference is very less. So for reducing, I am just writing directly, right? So no need to check again and again, right? So provide 3 bars of 12 mm dia bars, and therefore AST provided is 339.3 ohm square, and same reinforcement is provided at all interior midspans as the difference between the midspan is less, right? So this is how you need to determine the area of tension reinforcement required for different places. So next step is, so this is how we designed it. 4 bars of 12 mm dia bars at all interior supports, 3 of 12 mm bars at all other interior midspans, right? So next is you need to check for stiffness. So check for stiffness, that means L effective by D ratio. For continuous beam, the basic value for L effective by D ratio is 26 into f of 1, where f of 1 is the modification factor, which is depends upon the percentage of steel provided, in tension zone, and f of s value. So the percentage of steel provided at midspan, because if the stiffness is value is checked corresponding to the midspan. So right, so you have to take the percentage of steel corresponding to midspan, that is AST by BD into 100. So whatever the midspan we provided, that is 339.3 by 230 into 250 into 100, 0.59%. And f of s is nothing but 0.58 into HTK into area of steel required by area of steel provided. You just observe this is the easily understand. This is f of s value, that is 0.58 into f of y into area of cross section of steel required by area of cross section of steel provided. Required means what is the area of steel required, we determine corresponding to the element, and what is be provided. The difference is as per the required, if we got 3.4 or 3.5 or 2.6, so we rounded up to 4 bars. We cannot provide 3.6 to 3.65, 3.65. So we rounded up to 4 bars. So that is provided. Required is whatever the reinforcement corresponding to bending, right? So the f of s value, I got it as 218 Newton per mm square, and percentage of steel is 0.59. So then calculate the modification factor. Yeah, this is 0.59 and 280. Yeah, you just draw a line 0.59. This is 0.4, this is 0.8. So this will become as 0.6, and 0.59 is approximately 0. Corresponding to 218. That means somewhere else here. I can draw somewhere else here. Approximately. Right. So if you draw the line approximately somewhere else, and this should be extended. So and this is 1.2, right? This is 1.2. This is 1.6. That means this is 1.5. Sorry, 1.4. So this is approximately 1.3. Right? So the modification factor, I got it from this diagram, is 1.3. So use that modification factor and determine the allowable stiffness value, allowable L-effective by D ratio value. So that is called, how much I got is 26 into 1.3 or 33.8. And what is the actual L-effective by D ratio? That is 3600 by 250, that is 14.4. And this is less than the allowable value, hence it is safe. If it is not, then we need to redesign your section. Right? So here it is safe. So next is shear design. So after satisfying this one, we need to design for shear. So for that, I need to calculate the maximum shear force. So how to calculate the maximum shear force can be calculated from the coefficient, shear coefficients given in table number 13 of IS 456-2000. So out of from this table, you can easily observe where you will get the maximum. So from the table, I can get the maximum shear force at this place. What is this place? It's support next to the end support outer side. Right. Actually, I need to calculate for all the cases, but from the table, from the coefficients, you can easily identify where you will get the max. So these coefficients are higher as compared to other. So therefore, I will get the maximum shear force here. So directly you can take those values and find out the maximum shear force. So that is 0.6 WUDL plus 0.65 WUL. So if you substitute the values, the shear force I got it as 46.1 kilonewton. Right? So then calculate the tau C and tau C max, that is a shear maximum shear stress of the concrete and shear stress of the concrete, tau C. And this tau C is depends upon the percentage of steel provided in tension zone. So before calculating tau C and tau C max, first you need to calculate the nominal shear stress. As per IS 456-2000, the nominal shear stress is VU by DD. So VU we got it 46.1 into 1000, that means converted into newtons, by area of the beam, that is 250 into 230. We got 0.8 newton per square. And for as I told, for calculation of tau C from table, you need to calculate the percentage of steel. And remember, the percentage of steel should be considered provided it supports, because the shear reinforcement is designed for at near the support, that is a critical section, right? So the percentage of steel provided at the support is AST by BD into 100, that is 0.787 percentage, right? So based upon this value from the table 19 as per IS 2000, we should calculate the tau C value. So that is so point, how much I got? 0.789, 0.787, right? So 0.787 means 787. 787 means between these two values, percentage. And my value is M20, so corresponding. Right. So you need to interpolate to get to a value corresponding to 0.787. How to interpolate? As I told earlier, the interpolation should be suppose if the difference between these two and these two, that is 0.56 minus 0.62 minus 0.56, right? Just quickly I will let go to interpolation by 0.7, sorry, 1 minus 0.75. This you will get the slope of the line, this is the linear interpolation, right? Into, you can come from this side or you can come from this side. If I come from this side, then this value becomes 0.787 minus 0.75, right? So I am coming from this to this, the value is increasing. So therefore, for this overall factor, I can add it to 0.56 plus, right? So this is the equation to determine the interpolation. So after interpolation, I got the value of 0.57. So this is the value I got it from the interpolation, 0.57 newtons per mm square. That is tau C value, right? Similarly, you can calculate the tau C max. So tau C max corresponding to M20 grade concrete is 2.8 newtons per mm square. And then you need to check whether you need to check whether your value is greater than or less than. So here tau V is how much I got? 0.8, and the 0.8 is greater than tau C, that is 0.57, right? That means you need to design, so tau V is greater than tau C, and that 0.8 is less than tau C max. That means tau V is less than tau C max. So if tau V is greater than tau C and tau V is less than tau C max, you need to design the shear reinforcement, right? So for design of shear reinforcement, first we need to determine the shear force, that is BUS. So BUS is nothing but BU minus the shear force taken by the concrete, that tau C into BU. So if you substitute the values, you get 13.325 kN. So whatever the shear reinforcement you need to design, that should be corresponding to this force, that is 13.325 kilonewtons, right? So you can assume the diameter of the shear reinforcement. So here I am assuming that, assume 6 mm diameter of two-legged vertical stirrups. So A of SV is nothing but 2 into pi d squared by 4, because two-legged, so 2 into pi d squared by 4 is equal to 56.55 mm square. And the spacing should be calculated for vertical stirrups from this equation, that is SV equal to, which is 0.87 f of I into A of SV into D by BUS. So if you substitute the values, that is 0.87 into 415 into 56.55 into 50 by 13.25 into 1000, that is in terms of meters. So I got it as 230.8 mm, right? So this is the spacing required to resist this much of force. But as per IS 456-2000, the maximum spacing should not be greater than 0.75 D for vertical stirrups or 300 mm, whichever is less. So corresponding to these values, the stirrup spacing list of the following, that is 230 and 0.75 D, that is 0.75 to 250, we get 187.5 mm, and it should not be greater than 300 mm. So out of which the minimum is 287.5 mm. So therefore, provide 6 mm dia two-legged vertical stirrups at 180 mm center to center. Right. So like this, you need to determine the shear reinforcement. Right. So after this, you need to draw the diagram as we discussed last class. So for this, I would like to conclude this class. So before going to conclude, so just summarize what we were discussed in this class. So in this class, based upon the given data, we have designed a singly reinforced continuous steel. That means based upon the data, first we were assumed the dimensions of the member based upon the stiffness factor. That is, we assumed L by 15, and we have calculated the effective depth and assumed the sorry, effective cover and calculated the overall depth of the beam and based upon and width of the beam. So based on the dimensions, we have calculated the effective span based upon the L by based upon the width of the support and L by 12 of 4 span. And then we have calculated the working loads based upon the loads given, and we have calculated the factored loads by application of partial safety factor as per IS 456-2000. Then after we have calculated the bending moments as per the coefficients proposed by the IS 456-2000. So we have calculated the span moments as well as support moments, and based upon the moments, we have taken the maximum bending moment for checking the depth required. So we have calculated the depth required by equating the maximum bending moment equal to the MU limit. That means the moment corresponding to balance section. And we have calculated the depth required. And we got the depth required is less than the depth provided. So that means it is safe. So hence we have calculated the uh, area of steel required corresponding to all bending moments. That means span moments as well as support moments. Then we have checked for stiffness. That means the basic value for continuous density is L effective by D is 26 into modification factor. So as per Codal provision, we have calculated the modification factor as per steel, percentage of steel provided at the mid span, right? And our actual L effective by D ratio is less than the allowable value, so it is safe. Then after we have designed the shear reinforcement. That means we have calculated the maximum shear force based upon the coefficients proposed by IS 456-2000, and then we have calculated the tau C and tau C max, and we have compared it. So we got tau B is greater than tau C and tau B is less than tau C max. So therefore, we need to design the shear reinforcement. So accordingly, we have assumed the vertical stirrups and calculated the space. So this is how the overall design of singly reinforced continuous beam. Right. So thank you. So next class we will discuss another topic.